Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here, and I'm really excited because as you guys can see, this is my first normally lit video in like 3 weeks or something like that. Obviously, I work full time, so during the day I'm working, and I tend to record my videos at night. I haven't had all my stuff actually coming from Phoenix to Florida here yet, so I haven't even had like a lamp. I haven't had a good light source that's not like over the head and just makes everything super dark and black and the lighting all off, and it's been crazy. But finally, I have my desk, I have my bed, I have my lamp, I have everything here all ready to go. Obviously, I'm super tired from moving all this stuff around and carrying it and unpacking. I still have more to do the rest of the week, but at least things are starting to get back to normal. I'm starting to make this feel more like at home, and I'm really excited about that. But today, I wanted to have a very interesting discussion. This is something that's been coming up a little bit. This is something that I have tweeted out a little bit. Obviously, the past year and a half have been really crazy for G2 with so many different interesting decisions, so many things that if they would have went this way or that way could have changed like the history of so many different players, careers, legacies, all this different stuff. And today we're going to be answering the question whether or not Rekkles was the problem for G2. So definitely drop a like if you guys do enjoy this video. I would appreciate that so much. And subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest content. Help us run those numbers up a little bit. I think we just cracked 10,400 subscribers like yesterday or maybe today. So that's really awesome. That's really exciting. We're getting closer and closer to 11,000 all the time. And that'd be an absolutely insane number to hit. We can get a little bit closer if you click that button. With that being said, let's get right into this. So, like I said, the past year and a half has been super crazy for G2. So many different things happening, so many different things going on. Obviously, Perks leaving G2. That's a massive story. Rekkles coming to G2. That is a massive story. I mean, just those two stories alone would be absolutely crazy. And then if we start actually taking a look at what happened to G2, a lot of this gets lost in history. A lot of people don't really even remember what happened for G2 other than the fact that they didn't go to MSI and they didn't go to Worlds. We didn't get to see G2 internationally. But what actually happened in between with Rekkles and with G2? I mean, first of all, Rekkles won the LEC Spring Split MVP. I do believe, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he was the LEC Spring Split MVP. And if we look up, some of their tournament results, you can see here that was for a first place G2 team in the spring of 2021. They went 14-4 in the regular season. Again, this is Wonder, Jankos, Caps, Rekkles, and Mickey. They were hyped up to be the best team in the league. There was talks of whether or not they were going to go 18-0. They were supposed to finish first. And they did finish first. Yes, they dropped 4 games, but overall going 14-4 and finishing in 4th place is really awesome. Now, yes, things did not go well for them in the playoffs. It was rough. They ended up getting 3rd place, but that wasn't the end of the world. You kind of extrapolate that out to summer. That would have been good enough to make it to Worlds. Whatever. Fast forward to summer, they have another pretty good regular season. Now, yes, this team doesn't seem like they're clicking how they're supposed to. I mean, this is supposed to be a dominant team. This is supposed to be a 13-3, a 14-2, or I don't even know how the math adds up there. What am I saying? 13-5, 14-4, 15-3, 16-2, that type of team. They're supposed to be winning a lot of games, dropping minimal games. They're trying to go for the 18-0 ultimately, but if you go 16-2, you go 17-1, nobody's really going to scoff at that. But they went 12-6, but still, that was good enough for second best in the summer split. So, hey, 2 regular season down, they finished first, they finished second. Rekkles looked pretty damn good in both these regular seasons. It's not like Rekkles sucked, and it's not like G2 sucked, but when it mattered most, they came up short, obviously finishing 4th place in the summer split of 2021 in the playoffs, losing Game 5 to Fnatic, which, again, meant that they were very close to making it internationally. But again, G2, their goal is not just to make it international. It's not to, finish well in the regular season. They are built for playoffs, they are built for titles, and they are built for international performance and international competition. So, in comes Flockhead, and there was a lot of people saying, oh, G2 lost the offseason. I made a video titled G2 lost the offseason, and there was all these different opinions and takes of like, hey, you guys are replacing one of the best Western players of all time, one of the best AD carries, in the West, one of the better AD carries in the world, one of the most accomplished and popular players. You're going to be losing so much money, so many fans, so much branding, all this stuff. But on the other side, Flockhead was a guy who, one of the guys on Mad Lions at the time was saying that he thought Flockett should have been starting over Carsey, which was just absolutely insane at the time. But now fast forward a little bit, and all of a sudden you start to see maybe what there was in Flockett, and G2 was taking a chance on a guy who was relatively inexperienced. This guy hadn't even won like the Spanish league that he was playing in with the Mad Lions Academy team. He hadn't, I don't even think he had went to EU Masters, at least not the EU Masters main stage before. This was a very, very big risk, but G2 was trusting their coaching staff. They were trusting their scouting, and look at the results. I mean, you can see that in the spring split of 2022, this team went 11-7. Again, that is 3 games worse than G2 went with Rekkles in the spring of 2021. But obviously they got it done when it mattered most, and they went on this crazy win streak. But again, that was still losing their first matchup in the playoffs before going on that insane win streak. And just with how League of Legends is, how snowbally it is, how one play can change a whole series, can change a whole playoffs, anything like that. This G2 team could have easily been, falling to the same fate of that G2 team last year. And that G2 team last year very easily could have done something similar to what this G2 team did. Now, what is interesting and what makes this a little bit crazy is once this G2 team gets to MSI, they knock off T1. They knock off RNG. They go 6-0 against EG. But then they also go on a 5-game losing streak. So they're just really all over the place. They're really up and down. But what this G2 team has that the one last year didn't was obviously hopefully a bright future ahead of them. Much younger players, much more inexperienced players rather than Rekkles and Wonder and Mickey. They have Targamas and Flockett and Broken Blade. These guys have much less international experience, have much less LEC experience. They are overall younger for the most part and cheaper too. And Carlos got to sell off all of his players, which I'm sure makes him happy as well. But I think that is very, very interesting. And a lot of people are saying, hey, was Rekkles the problem for G2? Was Rekkles holding G2 back? And I think it's really interesting because I think there's arguments on both sides. Like I said, G2 was no slouch last year. They were not bad. They were, a couple series or a couple games, a couple things going their way from having pretty similar results. And this G2 team this year very easily could have been eliminated in the playoffs earlier and maybe not even made it to MSI at all. Also, a lot of different variables like, hey, Caps going crazy certain points in 2022, looking like he never really did in 2021. Wonder wasn't that great for many times last year. Mickey wasn't great for that many times last year. And did Rekkles contribute to that at all? Because yes, Rekkles is a great individual player, but we heard behind the scenes things weren't necessarily great. The team never gelled. Mickey and Rekkles, they didn't have a ton of synergy. They weren't even duoing or playing together a lot. We know that Jankos and Caps kind of popularly or whatever the story and the rumor is that they didn't really necessarily get along with Rekkles or agree with how to play the game the same way that Rekkles did, especially in the mid to late game, closing out games and stuff like that. There was all this kind of different drama, all these different things going on where Rekkles didn't necessarily fit in with the team. And it's kind of funny because while G2 is out at MSI, like I said, they did knock off some top teams, but they're only 5-5 right now. A G2 team with Rekkles, if things went right, absolutely could have gone to MSI and went 5-5. Now maybe they would have won and lost some different games and stuff like that, but it was very, very possible for them to go 5-5 with Rekkles as their AD carry with, even if there was some other pieces on the team being moved around and everything like that. But then you also see what Rekkles is doing since then. Obviously, he took down the EU Master title with K-Corp. Now, hey, this is very, very expected for a player of Rekkles' caliber to go and do this thing, but he wasn't even necessarily on the best team in the LFL, let alone the best team in all of EU Masters. And for him to still be able to rise up and get that thing done shows that, he is still a good player to some extent. It's not like Rekkles is just trash. It's not like he's going to hold your team back. Like I said, this guy won an MVP in the LEC last year as well. There's, him with this trophy. He seems to be living a good life. He's still making a ton of money. Things are going really, really right for him. And Flockett at MSI and throughout the LEC season, he's had some high highs, but he's also had some low lows as well. And overall, throughout the LEC season and into MSI, some of these games, he's been a little bit underwhelming. It's not like Flockett has been a huge consistent carry. It's not like Flockett has been an absolute monster for G2. It's not like Rekkles potentially, at least on the Rift. Again, who knows all the team synergy stuff and all the draft and playmaking decision stuff. It does kind of bring up a whole nother interesting topic and debate, though, of like modern League of Legends. A lot of people are starting to realize that it's not necessarily just about having the best 5 individual players. It's about having 5 players who are going to buy into the same system, buy into the same things, work well together. The resources are going to go to the right place at the right time. The right decision making, everything is going to be there. And again, maybe Flockett does fit in better for G2 in that sense. And I mean, I think it's pretty clear that he does. Like I said, the results speak for themselves. Yes, G2 got some stuff done in the regular season, but what does the LEC regular season even mean? Domestic domestic league regular seasons really mean nothing. Teams play for the playoffs. They play for international tournaments. And so far, Flockett has already done more in one split than Rekkles was able to do all of last year with G2. So, at the end of the day, I did tweet out Rekkles was the problem. I think it was more of a meme and more of a joke, but it is kind of an interesting and pretty crazy debate to even spark in the first place of was Rekkles the problem? Was this controversial move of not only getting rid of Rekkles in the offseason, but replacing him with Flockett, a guy who a lot of people had never even heard of? Was it the right decision? Was it a good move? And was Rekkles the problem with this team? Was he holding them back? And has Flockett unlocked a new G2 that all of a sudden went from no titles and no international appearances last year to now winning an LEC title and also potentially being a team that's in the mix to win MSI? Who would have thought? We would have thought when Rekkles came into G2 last year, they were going to be an international title threat, and we would have thought when Flockett came in this year that this was a sign that G2 is rebuilding. They were going to need a couple splits, if not a couple of years, before they were back in a position where they're beating T1, they're beating RNG, and they're potentially competing for international titles. But man, esports is crazy. It always keeps you guessing. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Somebody drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate that so much. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Was Rekkles the problem with G2? Is Flockett the solution? Somewhere in between. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, save today, and all my latest content. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.